Good morning, year 2. Hope you are keeping well and safe. This is our science video for week 4. We are still looking at more about dissolving. Now, from the previous lessons and the experiment video that you have seen, we were looking at how solids can be dissolved in water. So from that, you'll be able to understand how to do this worksheet. But I'll explain it in detail. So Lance and Peter have been discussing which materials dissolve in water. Which of these materials will dissolve in water? So we have butter, we have sugar, chalk, salt, oil and sand. So we tick 2 of the boxes that will dissolve in water. Lance and Peter discuss how they could separate a mixture of sand and salt. Choose words from the list to complete the sentences below. The first one has been done for you. Now first we'll look at the words in this box because they have new words and very big words as well. Now when you look at the first one, it is solid. A solid is your material like salt, sugar, rice, sand. Those are all solids, solid material. Mix, when you're mixing things together, we mix it. So if you're mixing salt and sugar, you're going to mix it together. Evaporate. Now, evaporate is when you put a liquid under the sun and water under the sun, it will evaporate. Because of the heat from the sun, it causes the water to evaporate. So evaporate is when the water goes less. The water will go up, will be taken, because of the heat of the sun, the water will go less in the beaker. So you'll have no water left if you keep it too long. Then freeze, so that is evaporate. Then freeze is when you put something into a freezer, it becomes a solid. Melt, when you take out the ice blocks from the freezer, it will start to melt. Condense. Now when we're looking at evaporation, when the heat shines, the sun shines onto the water, it evaporates. Or even a kettle, if you boil water in a kettle, the water, when you open the kettle, the lid on the kettle will have droplets on the lid. That means it is condense. The droplets condense. So your water evaporates and the water that forms onto that comes down is condense. Dissolve, when you stir something, you dissolve a solid, that it dissolves into the liquid, into your water. Filter, if you cannot dissolve a solid, you have to either you filter it or sieve it. So filter, when you have a filter paper, like sand for example, you can filter it and the sand will be left in the filter and the liquid will come into the beaker. Stir, when using a spoon, you stir your sugar and your salt for it to dissolve. And sieve, when you sieve the sand, as you saw in the experiment, the sand was left behind and the water filtered out into the beaker. Now first they should add water to the sand and salt and stir the mixture. So that's the first sentence that's done for you. Then they should wet the mixture to remove the sand. So how are you going to remove the sand? You're going to use a sieve. So that's the word you're going to put there. Finally, they should wet the liquid to leave the salt behind. Remember I told you if you put something, a liquid into the sun, same way if you put salt in a liquid and you want the salt to be left behind, you're going to evaporate it. So when you evaporate it, the water will disappear and the salt will remain in the tumbler. So it will be evaporate there. When a solid dissolves in water, what is the new mixture called? So is it called a filter, a sludge, a solution, a powder, a sieve, or a stew? I've discussed this with you earlier. I've said when a solid is mixed into a liquid, it becomes a solution. I hope you understand what to do in this worksheet. Thank you for listening. Until our next lesson. Goodbye.